Hi, good to see everybody. Connor, you can kick up the tunes. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Come on in.
Slipped into my pocket.
Got a little Paul Simon for you today.
She said you've taken me for granted because I believe.
Welcome. Come on in. Open up those cameras. You know you want to sing. Go ahead.
And I could say,
All right.
knows what I'm talking about.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our fantastic live event today. Let me get myself on the spotlight. I am so excited to welcome everybody today, and I am so excited in a moment to bring my good friend and mentor, Richard Leider, up on stage. But first of all, thank you for coming from all over the world. We have over 1,000 people register for today's event. Thank you. We'll be giving the recording to everybody. All the stuff that goes in the chat you'll get. And let's just jump right in. Some of you already know our favorite rituals. Where are you in the world? Throw it in the chat. I'm already seeing UK and Canada and LA and Mexico and Vermont is here and Salzburg and Osaka and Chicago. Welcome, everybody. My gosh, all over the place. Milwaukee's here. Louisville's here. Detroit, my hometown, is here. The Netherlands is here. Love it. Welcome. Fantastic to see everybody from all over the world. Hello from a New Mexican who's visiting San Francisco. Love it. Enjoy. It's beautiful right now in the Bay Area where I live. All right, so let me ask you as you're all popping in where you are in the world. We love doing these live events. They're very conversational. They're interactive. They're meant to be kind of community oriented. So the second half of this, you'll have a chance to come up on stage and have a comment or a question for Richard and myself, which is super fun. So let me ask you, how many of you, Cape Town, South Africa, how many of you are here for your very first time? This is your first MEA anything. Put a yes or a Y in the chat box. Very first MEA event. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so good to have you. We're so committed to our free wisdom in offering these free opportunities to get up close and personal with our thought leaders, to learn more about their work, to learn more about MEA. So welcome. How many of you are our community, our hardcore alumni? Pop in alumni in the chat. We have 7,000 plus alumni from, I think it's 60 countries. Every time I get on here, I have to up the number. We're about to have our 250th cohort between our two campuses coming up here this fall. Hardcore, Kevin says, yes, I love it. Alumni proud. Yes, indeed. It's such a privilege to be here. So without further ado, let me bring up my dear friend and absolute mentor, Richard Leider. God, it's good to see you, my friend.
So good to see you as well. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Richard is leading an incredible workshop this fall in Santa Fe called Life Reimagined, Unlocking the Power of Purpose. I have to say, I am so lucky. Richard has had a best-selling book called The Power of Purpose that I'm in the most recent edition.
Yes, yes.
I'm so proud of that a little bit of my story was captured in this recent edition of this wonderful, wonderful.
Your story is wonderful and very, very solid to the success of the book. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a great book if you guys haven't had a chance to read it. And Richard has been on PBS forever with his program called The Power of Purpose and has been thinking about this long before it may have been considered a popular topic to talk about. You were really a pioneer that this is a core, fundamental subject that every human being is going to be exploring at some point in their life. So let's just jump in. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah. It used to be, as you know, that purpose was kind of a luxury. Well, that's good if I have enough money or if I have enough age or whatever it is. Now we know the surprising science is there that purpose is fundamental to health, to healing, to happiness, and ultimately to longevity. So it's been in the pioneering of this, it's gone from luxury to fundamentals. So I've had a great ride.
Let's talk about that. Because I think people might find that hard to believe that a sense of purpose is actually going to impact my health. Let's
Right.
talk about that. Tell us how, some of the science that you've come across that you really respect that has helped to really confirm that that is in fact the case.
Yeah. Well, about 6 months ago, I was the invitee, the only practitioner. The others were all PhD researchers on purpose. And it was called the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. I never even heard of that before, but it actually is a bona fide piece of the American Medical Association, American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And they do research on the science of things like purpose. So in San Diego, I was there and I was on the main stage as well as a panelist. And as I said, I was the only practitioner. The rest were researchers. But the theme of this 1.5 day conference, Kari, was about meaning, medicine, and spirituality.
Incredible.
I mean, and 100 researchers, some of whom are in the same book that you're in, The Power of Purpose. I quoted, and all of a sudden I'm sitting next to him saying, oh my God, I've quoted you, I've studied your work, and I've talked to you, but I've never been in the same room with you. And it was a huge revelation to me of all these people are talking about how purpose affects the telomeres in our bodies, how it affects dementia, how it affects sleep apnea, and how it affects microscopic stroke. On and on, they're talking about it's not just that. It's not just that purpose is the answer, but it is part of the answer that we now plug in. And so people are now more, looking at this, the mind body, but the purpose part of the mind and the spirituality as it relates to all of those things I just mentioned.
One of the things that I've learned, you captured my interest, and we've been running an 8-week immersion course on cultivating purpose for 4 years now. And we teach
Yeah.
this as an ongoing topic on both of our campuses in Santa Fe and in
Yep.
Baja. So you'll have opportunities to, those of you who are interested in this topic, to dive into a week-long immersion or an online course. And what I
Fantastic. Yep.
found is that really the understanding of the word is one of our first barriers that, we are underneath the wonderful umbrella of Chip Conley, who founded this company, who
Right.
has a profound sense of purpose and who is incredibly accomplished. He's written many books. He's been on TED Talks. He started this company. He's had hotels. So if I were to find my sense of purpose against someone like Chip, I would be falling short, as would most of us. So
Yeah.
I think we've talked a little bit about how the word itself may imply something that is very different than what it actually
Yeah.
is. So can you help us
Right.
break that down?
Well, let me offer 3 choices here. Number 1 is the universal purpose from my standpoint, and having studied it for now 5 decades, is only 2 words: grow and give. So if you're growing and giving, you're living or working or leading purposefully. So that's one way to look at it. The second way to look at it is the big P purpose and the little p purpose. And so big P purpose is the one that really stuns, or people stumble over that one because, oh, I'm not Mother Teresa, I'm not Mandela, I'm not. But the fact is that the big P purpose is really fueled by the little p purpose. So little p purpose, there are 1,440 purpose moments in a day. Those are minutes in a day. And so if you sleep, that would be less than that. But those are times when you can make a difference in somebody else's life. And so you can reach out and give them a hug, a kind word, a call, or something like that. So big P purpose and little p purpose. And what we're after, it really is meaning. So I shared this with you many times before, that I studied for a week with Viktor Frankl in 1968, and it changed my life forever. We've all had fortuitous encounters with others. And he was one that I had studied in school, but all of a sudden, I I went to a place where he was, and I got to study with him. And he talks about tragic optimism, that we've all got things in our life that are not good, that are going to happen, and a lot going on right now in the world, of course. And so he said, don't ask, what is my purpose? Ask this. So my third point is, what is life asking of me now in this situation? What can I do right here now in this minute? What is my choice? So we all have he talked about the last of the human freedoms being choice, to choose what we want our life or our moment to be about. And so between those 3 points I made, I think purpose is really open to us all at any point in our ages, our stages, or our life.
Can you share? I often repeat this, but I don't know if I get it right. What your big P and your little p purpose is, because I think it's so succinct.
Well, my big P purpose is to help others unlock. Not that was another point I should have made, or I'll make now, and that is that purpose is not about finding it out there. It's in here. And so if it's in here, we need to unlock it and bring it out. So my big P purpose is to help others unlock the power of purpose. My little p purpose is to make a difference in just one person's life every single day. Some simple way. And so, I tell people or I request, they take a Post-it out. I don't have my Post-it, well, maybe I have it here somewhere, but, and write grow and give and put it on your mirror. And tomorrow morning, when you get up, ask yourself, how am I to grow and give today? And at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, ask yourself, how did I grow and give today? That's it. That's as simple as I can make it. So for me, I look at how did I grow and give this day, not only the big P, but which I can't measure, but I can measure the little p.
Yep. All right, everybody, it's your turn. Go ahead and go into the chat and think about what are some of your big P purposes. Pop them in the chat. So Richard certainly has had the big P purpose about helping people unlock the power of purpose. One of my big P purposes is building online communities with folks like yourself and being able to bring thought leadership
and which you are a master at.
Oh, well, thank you. So somebody pop in the chat, everybody pop in the chat. What is a big P purpose that you have in your life? Compassion and love to relieve suffering, mentoring students, helping people grow, providing experience of flow for others. Love that. Helping people find their capacity to make their life the best it can be. Ooh, Reiki for animals. Amazing.
Wow.
Helping retired folks live well. Great. To get to the heart of what, Matt, you guys are killing it. Yes. This is great to have a small footprint upon the earth. Beautiful. Supporting people as they work to stay out of their own way. That's important. Increasing peace in my town. Thank you for that. Kari, spelled the same way as me. Love that. Soul sister. Helping people achieve their goals. Nice. Sharing information, connecting possibilities, helping others with breast cancer. Look at these purposes. I love that. No one has said they need to have their name on a building, or no one has said that they need to have a certain letters behind their name or a certain amount of money in their bank account. I love this. These feel very intrinsic.
Yeah.
Being the person my dog thinks I am, says Carol. That is an excellent big P purpose. All right, now let's switch gears. Everybody,
well, one of my insights from listening to these, which are fantastic, is that purpose is always outside of ourselves. There's a distinction between a goal and a purpose. We can have all kinds of goals or, along the way, but purpose is really about bringing who we are to the world in some way. Doesn't have to be on a building, as you said, or some other, but it has to be something that feels like you're making a difference somehow in the world.
Yep. Okay, let's switch gears, guys. Little P purposes. What are some little things that you find makes you feel purposeful? Richard says making a positive impact in someone's life, saying hi to the barista at the Starbucks, or picking up the piece of trash that you see on the ground.
One of my big insights on that, by the way, just as while they're doing this, is with Bill Thomas, he's a geriatrician. An amazing people. But he said even people with dementia can feed a pet, can read to a kid, can water a plant, and can to do something that is larger than themselves, and they get better as opposed to the people who don't do that. So, I mean, it's not
Yes.
easy. This is not, a slam dunk for any of us. We've all got our issues and our challenges as we age. And but I think, so what do they say? What
We've
are the
got
little
Mary's got making the best sandwiches. I love that. Really good. Karen has smiling at strangers. Danielle
Yeah,
keeping my neighborhood clean. Stephen listening to a friend. I love this. Freeing wildlife, Audra, being supportive to others, appreciating beauty. Yes,
yeah.
look at that. Petting my kitties, 100%.
Mhm.
Sharing joy and happiness. Yes, joining communities. Amazing. And notice how good it feels, even to tune into these pieces. It makes you want to take action. As that's
That's
what
right.
I found, Richard. It's very
Yep.
empowering. It leans us
Yep.
into the world instead of away from the world. I love talk to all the dogs I meet. Okay, you guys are killing this. So let's take a look at how society has not necessarily shared this definition of purpose, even though all y'all have kind of figured it out intrinsically.
Yeah.
There's a certain pressure, particularly in kind of developed nations that many of you are calling in from, that purpose is some external thing. And many of us are here in midlife. MEA is a midlife
Yeah.
wisdom school where we're
Yeah.
taking the time to kind of reflect on the first half of our life, some of the messages and the scripts that we were provided and how that impacted us. And so I'm going to have Richard talk in a moment about something that I think a lot of folks share when they come to MEA. And I'm going to share a little quote from my good friend, not really, I wish she was, but Elizabeth Gilbert is one of
Elizabeth
our
Gilbert. Yeah.
teachers. And I
Yeah.
feel like she's my good friend, like probably most of you do who love her because she's
Yeah.
so present and vulnerable. And she's been teaching at MEA and done some live events with us. And as she was reflecting on purpose and some of the challenges that society has presented us with it, I'm going to share a quote that she shared with us, which I thought was
Yeah.
great. See if you recognize this, y'all, in your life or your culture. Imagine being a young child of 4 or 5 and being asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? By a late age 11 or 12, you're funneled into subjects in school or sports that you can excel in and
Hmm.
given awards for being the best. By 18, you're asked to know what you want to do, and society expects you to go make a mark on the world, followed by a life purpose that has to follow you beyond your death in leaving a legacy. Now, to me, that
Oh my
spells
God.
purpose anxiety, 100%. And you have shared an extraordinarily high percentage of adults who have felt purpose anxiety at some point. Can you share what that is?
Well, it's that I'm not enough. Somehow others have got it together and I don't. And as we get to different ages and stages and compare, as the Dalai Lama says, comparison is the devil. It's the devil, meaning it's not healthy. And so I think I wrote a piece called The Rise of Purpose Anxiety a couple of weeks ago, and it went viral instantly because so many people said, I have that. And it has to do with the politics of today and the wars and everything that's going on. But I think it also has to do with aging and with longevity as we look at, has my life been enough? Am I enough, et cetera? And so I think that one of the things that I am very, very keen on, and MEA is a master at this, and you are, is that you have purpose partners. You have people you talk with. I call it a sounding board, or people who you meet with and talk with, and MEA is a brilliant community for people to come to and share their anxieties as well as their celebrations. And so anyway, the rise of purpose anxiety is in one of my heroes is Leonard Cohen, who wrote Anthem, the music for Anthem. And the line in Anthem that it says, there is a crack. There's always a crack in everything. And the crack is where the light gets in. And so MEA and things like we're doing right now, hopefully helps to let the light get in. And purpose is a way to help the light get in for others in just a small way. As Viktor Frankl taught me in the concentration camps, he didn't use the term the light get in, but he said, you know, the last of the human freedoms is he could get up in the morning and help others give a kind word, a hug, a crust of bread, a slurp of soup, hope for the future, let the light get in certain ways. And so I think things like the music of Leonard Cohen and many other things like diamonds on the soles of your feet, like you played on the, yeah, when we got into this is to let the light get in.
Yeah, I love that song, right? Everybody can imagine what it feels like to have diamonds on the soles of your shoes. That is walking through the world
That,
in a purposeful way that is intrinsic to you. That's what's
right.
most important.
And mattering matters. As you know, I've interviewed people over my age. I'm 81, over the age of 65 for years, asking them if they could live their life over again, what would they do differently? And three things have come up over and over. And I'll say, number one is they would be more reflective, which is what we're doing this moment and what MEA is all about. And secondly, they would take more risks. They would, particularly in the area of relationships. And third, they would understand their own purpose, even though they couldn't define it as simply as we're doing it here, perhaps, but they know that mattering matters. At the end of life or as they age, mattering matters, and it's not something that's a luxury.
Right. You know, and sometimes we have a lot of folks who hit this stage of midlife and feel a little bit stuck. That, you know, a lot of things
Mhm.
change in midlife, that kids move out, and then all of that purposeful energy that went into nurturing them disappears. And maybe our job slows down or we retire.
Right,
All that time and energy and identity, you know, a lot of times our purpose somehow gets tied into our identity.
for sure.
And we have to kind of go through this in between phase of recalibrating where we do derive a sense of meaning in life. And as our purposes begin to change, they may not feel as grandiose as parenting a child or as grandiose as going to work every day and managing a team. So what's some of your advice as we are all shifting our perspective from some of those external purposeful roles into other ways to seek a sense of purpose,
Yeah.
particularly in those times when we might be feeling a little bit stuck?
Well, you know, I was on a panel with Vivek Murthy, the former, you know,
Surgeon General.
Surgeon General of the US, who is now looking at what's next in his own life. And he talked about the triad of fulfillment. And he talked about the triad of fulfillment has to do with relationships, purpose, and service. And those are the big three, I think, when we look at the question that you asked. What are our relationships like right now? Because many people, when they retire or do something different, the relationships change. I find that myself right now. A lot of the people who I live around or are in my orbit are retired, and I'm not. And that causes stress because, well, why can't you retire? Or can't you afford? I said, well, I don't want to because that's a whole nother story. But so I think the relationship thing, and then purpose is what is your reason to rise? When you get up every day, can you just make a difference in one person's life today? And the third thing is service. And we know that now the research on service, on giving to others, shows that no matter your age, but particularly as you age, helps with all of the dementia, with all the other factors that we've talked about. So I think those three are not an easy solution, Kari, but they're a code
Yes.
for relationships, purpose, service are a code for what matters in the next phase of life.
And I know some of you might see some of the decor behind Richard, that Richard has been quite a global traveler. He was just sharing with me at 81, you guys, 16th trip with his wife this summer, trekking through the Alps of Switzerland, as well as many, many trips to Africa. And
35 trips in Africa.
35 trips to
The
Africa.
stuff on the wall here is actually antiquities that should be in a museum, but they're in my house until for now.
Treasured. Tell us a little bit about those adventures, that you're continuing to invest in at this stage of your life, what they've brought to you and why they've been so meaningful to continue year after year.
Well, I went to Africa back in 1983. I was on the board of Outward Bound trustees, and I went to climb Kilimanjaro to raise money. When you get up to a certain point, and I fell in love though with the people. We came back after climbing the mountain and making it 19,341 feet. I've done it 8 times, 7 more than any civilized human being should do. But the point is, I fell in love with Africa and the people in Africa. And particularly, I got to sit around the fire with elders, pre-MEA. But I think we should do an MEA thing in Africa with the elders. And I think you should lead it. And we sit around the fire with these elders who have never been more than 50 kilometers from where they're sitting. And they're teaching me about what matters in terms of their survival. They've been around 100,000 years because of sharing, because of purpose, not because of competition or wars or that kind of thing. So I learned a lot from elders and others in Africa. And of course, I love going with the animals and with the habitat and everything and the adventure. But the real reason that I keep going back is about the people.
Yeah, that's what it's all about for sure.
And I seriously, I think we've talked about it, but I would love to do an MEA adventure there because these people who are the Hadza, Hadza, the last of the remaining hunter-gatherers, they don't just let anybody come in there and talk to them. We've earned the right over years to sit around the fire with them. And I could bring an MEA group over there and it would be life-changing. So I'm not bragging about. I'm not bragging.
I'm not. All right, Richard, you guys are hearing it right here.
I'm not bragging about it. I'm just saying that
We're going.
We can learn there as well as New Mexico and Baja.
Let's go. You're the modern elder and I'm the junior. I am down for that. You guys heard it here first. Maybe we'll see what we can do for 2026. Get a trip there. That'd be amazing. We're big fans of Boyd Vardy, who's a life coach who's part of the Londolozi Game Preserve in South Africa, the place that Nelson Mandela went to heal, recover after he was released from prison. He shared a wonderful quote that we love to share at MEA, which he learned from his elder tracker teachers, which I think does kind of really help us think differently about how we find our sense of purpose when our life is changing. And the quote is, I don't know where I'm going, but I know how to get there. Meaning, Boyd says, where's the lions? And they'll say, I don't know, but we're going to find them. And how are we going to do that? We're going to begin, and we're going to trust the things that we know. And I think that is such a philosophy for living on purpose, that you just move into the world and you trust that you're going to get there and you're going to find those synchronistic connections, those conversations, those people who impact you, that you impact, that generate that powerful sense of meaning in lives.
I wrote about this, and I'll just mention it as quickly as I can here, and that was sitting around the fire with the Hadza elders. I was interviewing them for a book that I wrote. One of my books is called Claiming Your Place at the Fire. And what I learned over the years of going was that the wisest of the elders sit the closest to the fire. Nobody says, you sit here, you sit, they just do. And that's because people want to hear what they have to say. So one of those elders, his name is Kampala, had never been more than 50 kilometers away from where we were sitting. As I'm taking notes to write this book, he said, Richard, he didn't say this exactly, but he said, I'm kind of tired of your questions. Do you mind if I ask you a question? And he said, and he said, you know what the two most important days in the life of a Hadza are? A hunter-gatherer. And I said, yeah, birth and death. And he looked at me like I was from outer space. He said, well, birth, of course. But he said, second most important day in the life of a Hadza is when we, the elders, teach them why they're here, what they're here to do. And so he said, without that, we don't survive. We don't live here 100,000 years. He didn't say that, but I am, because without knowing why they exist and how they bring life to the community. Well, that's all about purpose.
100%. I
Yeah.
love that. We're going to open up for questions in a few minutes, you guys, just so you know, so you can kind of get ready.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about your week that you have taught at MEA many times. And I'm very excited because this is a slightly new spin on your week.
Yeah.
You're bringing in
Yep.
your very dear friend, Alan Weber, who happens to be the mayor of Santa Fe,
Yep.
former editor of Fast Company, successful entrepreneur. You guys have been friends forever. Tell us a little bit about how you are imagining this week to
Yeah.
unfold for those who
No.
might be interested in spending some time with
Yeah.
you.
Well, we first met, by the way. Alan was the editor-in-chief of the Harvard Business Review. He resigned from there and created Fast Company magazine. And I was one of the very first articles that he interviewed for Fast Company. That's how we met. And from there, we started to do things together. And as he sold Fast Company, we started to work on projects together, like the Life Reimagined Institute of AARP in Washington, D.C., et cetera. So we've remained close friends and allies. He's been to Africa with me twice, and he's experienced exactly what I just talked about in detail. So when we wrote the book, Life Reimagined, which was co-authored by the two of us, but was sponsored also by AARP, we learned a lot about what are the 6 practices that really help people, like all the people who go to MEA. I mean, there's all kinds of models, but this is one of the models that we're going to teach in October. And there are 6 practices: reflect, connect, explore, choose, repack, and act. We're going to go through that model with people, our own stories, as well as the practices that we hope will help people to go through their own life journeys and their own life transitions. So, I mean, can you imagine Alan moves to Santa Fe from a prestigious role in Boston over all these years? He doesn't know what to do. He goes to the local bookstore over and over again, but he's kind of lost. And so he decides he's going to run for governor. And he did, but he lost. But then he ran for mayor and he lost. But then he ran for mayor 2 more times and he got 66% of the vote. And he is a mensch. This guy is so smart and so funny. And so he's like Stephen Colbert in the mayor's office. He's so, I just can't say how uh, wise he is, but also how charming he is. So what we're going to do is bring our 2 voices together in at Santa Fe, and for and we're going to go through the Life Reimagined model that I just talked about, and I'm going to do a deep dive personally for two of the days into what I call calling cards. Calling cards is for me the number one tool that I've developed over 50 years that absolutely works and has worked for people. And so I'm going to take people through the calling cards exercise, in addition to what Alan and I are going to do together.
It's going to be an amazing, amazing week. You guys can find it on the website. We'll post it here. It'll go in the recording for you to find. We also had advisors at MEA who actually answer the phone. You can book a phone call and they'll
What a concept.
through all the things that we have going on. October is a spectacular time to be at the ranch. Those of you who are new to MEA, MEA has 2 retreat centers in Baja, Mexico on the beach, and at a 2,600 square foot ranch, 4 square miles, just about 30 minutes north of Santa Fe in the Galisteo Basin. It is a beautiful place. with hiking trails and big skies and 2,600 acres. Thank you. I can't speak. Thank you. It's a beautiful, spectacular place, and the spaciousness of it inspires this spacious thinking. It's such a perfect context and setting
Yeah.
for the type of work that you offer, Richard. You get to meet a small group of
Yeah.
people. You get to have these warm conversations. People often leave quite inspired by.
I love it because the future belongs to the learners, not the knowers. And I find myself to be a learner. When I come to MEA, I am a learner as well as maybe offering something that will be helpful for people, I hope. But I come with the excitement of a learner.
And that's the greatest thing, that we can learn together. So, yes, Lori's telling the food. Yes. So those of you who are from MEA, tell us, what was your greatest takeaway of being an alumni? Be interesting to see. 2 or 3 words. What are some of your greatest takeaways? So with that, Richard, I'm going to open it up to questions, comments, reflections from the audience. The easiest way to do that is to go down to the reactions button, which is down at the bottom. It's a little heart. If you click that, it opens up some fun emojis, which I love. And under that is the raise your hand button. If you can't figure out how to raise your hand, just tell us in the chat and Connor will help you get us up here on stage. And then you also have to open up your camera. So Lydia, I hope that you can do that. Friend of mine, good to see you. If you can open the camera, then I can bring you up here on stage with us. And if you can't, that's okay.
Lovely to see you. And sadly, I'm just in a bad light situation and can't quite fix it. For Richard, I found repacking your bags in the early 90s when I had walked out of corporate consulting, trying to weigh options, and it was the single most sort of important resource. I was working in a bookstore just to have somewhere to go and something to do, and it was an advance copy, and I literally have cherished the lessons. And what it allowed me to do was focus on the now, and also not to carry yesterday, and not to carry trauma, and also not to buy stuff. So I wanted to thank you for that, because it was so succinct in saying that, your life is your life, but your life is not all the accoutrement around your life. It is you and your relationships. And thank you. I'd love for you to talk about what led to you writing that book back in early days of talking about purpose and things like that.
God, what a great story. Thank you. And what a great question. Well, repacking your bags, lighten your load for the good life, is sold over 1.5 million copies in 25 languages. And so it appealed to people because it was simple. And it was simple for this reason, because what we did, my co-author, David Shapiro, we've written 7 books together, 6 or 7 books together. But he's a philosophy professor. So we went back and looked at the good life from Aristotle and Plato and, you name it, forward, not just today's current reality. And I wrote in that book that, I was in 1971 or 2, I was a senior fellow at the Harvard Study of Adult Development, which is about the good life, way back then, before anybody, so anyway, we brought that reality and the philosophy reality that he brought together. And so what we found was the good life had 4 characteristics: place, people, right work, and purpose. Are you living in the place you love, with the people you love, doing the work you love, with a sense of purpose? And we had each chapter in the book had one of those characteristics: place, people, right work, and purpose. But we also had an inventory that said, measure yourself, give yourself a score on how you're doing with the good life. and that went viral, big time. So the Repacking Your Bags is consistently sold as a book, but I don't go anywhere without talking about repacking your bags and the good life because it resonates with so many people. So I'm not sure where to go with all. Yeah, thanks for that. And the fact is that, let me just say where did that come from? Because you said, how did that happen? Well, I was backpacking in Africa, and I was with a Maasai tribal elder who was looking at my backpack loaded down. And when we got to his village, and he said, "What are you carrying, Richard? And what are all your people carrying here?" And I put everything down on the ground, took all my stuff out of my pack, my first aid, my wilderness first aid kit, my my gear for rain, my gear for, everything we needed. And he looked at me, he said, "Richard," this is in Swahili now, which I can speak. He said, "Does all this make you happy?" And I said, "Well, I need this for this." And I realized I had this breakthrough. I don't need all this, just like you were saying, Lydia. I don't need all this now, but I didn't need it all then either. And so the rest of that trip, which was 2 or 3 weeks, we talked every night about repacking our bags. Why are we carrying all this stuff? And when we get home, what are we going to get rid of? How are we going to downsize?
So beautiful. Gosh, what a gorgeous picture. Senbei from Japan. Thank you for being here in the middle of the night. Love it.
Hello. Yeah, I'm from Japan. Thank you very much, Richard and Kari. And I also read the book, You're Repacking Your Bag, of course, in Japanese.
Yeah.
Yes. I was very impressed by how we can we compare the life to how you compare the life and bags. And so I cannot carry anything too heavy, and I need to repack when there's life transition. And I've been retired for two years, for a few years, and I've been repacking my bags with a perfect amount and the size of luggage. In order, other words, yes. But it is very difficult to find the good size of good amount of luggage or paper my bag.
It starts with, excuse me, but it starts with the stuff. It starts with, what you're carrying, literally. But then it gets to unpacking your calendar, unpacking your relationships. So the key ingredient actually is not about repacking, it's about unpacking. It's about what you're willing to unpack and so, that's part of the struggle, or part of the challenge, I should say, with aging, is when we start to say, I need to unpack this. I don't need this any longer. And then it looks at relationships. It looks at our calendar. How are we spending our time? How do we unpack our calendar? That's a big thing. One of the things that I always get positive feedback on is this: no is a complete sentence.
Okay. Yeah.
Saying no to things is not negative. It's not, I mean, it could be, but it's not. It's just like, no, that's done. And so I'm done with that. So no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain it away. It just is. So repacking, what we've learned is that the unpacking part, there's the repacking, and then there's the unpacking, and then there's the repacking. And the unpacking is the most difficult.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senbei.
Thank you.
Let's bring up Mark. Hey, Mark. Oh, I just lost you. Connor, can you help me bring Mark Mears back up here? Let me find you. There you go. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Kari, how are you?
Good to see you.
Richard, I'm a huge fan. As someone who's been studying purpose for a while, I wrote a book a few years back called The Purposeful Growth Revolution.
Yeah.
4 ways to grow from leader to legacy builder, because I believe purpose has a purpose at work, not just in life.
Yep. I know your book, and it's beautiful.
Well, thank you. The question I have for you, and one I get from time to time, I love your perspective, is there a difference in your mind between purpose and meaning? And if so, what's the distinction?
The two are inextricably linked, but purpose brings meaning to life. You know, basically, purpose is a verb, the way I talk about it. It's a verb, it's an action. We make choices about what we do, and those choices bring meaning to our lives. So that's the way that I do it. That's the way I think about it. I don't know if that helps, but that helps me because you know, meaning is a very existential type of a thing, and your life matters. You know, I always say there's three M's when I give a talk. I don't know if you've heard this before, Mark, but the three M's are money, medicine, and meaning. And people smile and I say, well, and I said, well, you know, people who have enough money and enough medicine, meaning health, but no meaning, what are they like? People say, oh, they're a drag. And you know, others who have meaning and health, but not money, what are they like? Well, they're pretty cool. And so the key is we need the three of those: money, medicine, and meaning. And where I live here in Minneapolis, Twin Cities area, is the headquarters of 3M Company.
There we go.
They're a client.
They stole your idea.
No, they're a client of mine, and I gave a talk there. And they
I
said,
love it.
"Oh, so cool that you made this up for us." And I said, "No, it's in the book. Money, medicine, and meaning. We need all three of those. So, but meaning comes from the verb of acting purposefully."
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
That's a
you.
great
Very,
question.
very helpful. I appreciate it.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so
Thank you.
much. Lewis, come on up. And those of you who are asking about recordings, yes, everybody will be getting the recording for this tomorrow. Hey, Lewis, nice to have you here.
Hi, Lewis.
Hi, Kari. Thank you so much. Richard, it's great to meet you. I have just discovered your work and I'm in the middle of reading your book, and it's been very profound and helpful for me. Personally, I just turned 44 and am going through a very challenging time in life, and using, you know, the power of purpose and kind of the framework you've built to navigate and kind of revisit my purpose in life. And I'm really tapping into some meaningful insights that are really, inspiring for me and really helping me kind of chart a path forward in this phase of life I'm in. And a question for you is, as I'm narrowing in on, you know, the framework, you know, as you talked about mining your life story to uncover your passions, gifts, and values, to kind of as hints to lead you in the direction of your purpose. You know, I'm thinking about and reflect, and honestly, kind of running into this situation where I'm experiencing some fear of judgment and criticism as I might lean into what I feel is my purpose. So curious on your thoughts around how to navigate fear of judgment or criticism as you lean into what you feel like is your purpose.
Oh my gosh, that is a great question. And do you have a purpose partner, somebody you can talk to? Purpose partner is somebody who is not judging, they're listening. They're saying, tell me more about that, as opposed to, well, when I did this, or I think you should do this. They're not giving assessments or giving solutions. So I think one of the key ingredients for purposeful life and purposeful living is finding purpose partners, and at least one. And the purpose partner is what I call a committed listener. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Help me understand that. And so that's one thing. And the other thing you brought up, which we haven't talked about so far, is the purpose prescription, which I've studied now for 50 years and have developed tools for. And I'm going to be doing this in a deep dive in October at MEA in Santa Fe. And that is gifts plus passions plus values equals your calling, equals purpose. And so discerning your gifts is not something, it's not a drive-by, check the box thing. This takes a little time and a little effort. and some coaching, and I want to be there for you if you are there for that. If not, you can get it online. But so gifts plus passions plus values, but don't go it alone.
And you know what? Julie
what
just
I what
popped
I
in the
what,
chat. She's looking for a purpose partner. So there we go. It's a
yeah.
beautiful community to find.
And what we know is this: isolation is fatal.
Yeah.
Going it alone. I mean, it's not easy to find that purpose partner, but when you do, it's like magic.
Yeah.
Great question.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Lynn, come on up.
All right, all right. Yeah, this almost taps into something that Lewis mentioned. So in reinventing myself and finding and looking to find my purpose, what I found was in reflecting, I found clues really early in my life, and they were clues.
Yeah.
And so then as the pattern developed, I just committed, to whatever I came up with. And at the time it was consulting, and then moving into coaching, and then coaching small businesses, and then coaching large businesses, and then coaching in flow. And every time it morphed, and I consider every one of those steps, to me, they're connected, but morphed. That fear that he talked about comes up. It's really, it's not a one-stop shop once you figure, at least once when I figured it out. I don't know what your experiences of what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I co-authored the book, Who Do You Want to Be When You Grow Old? The Path of Purposeful Aging.
Yeah.
So I think in our life, it does morph. But as Kari talked about with Elizabeth Gilbert earlier, what do you want to be when you grow up? Morphs into who do you want to be when you grow old? There's a transformation there. And we look at, the who part of this over time. So it's not an easy thing, but as we were just talking previously, as you heard, going it alone is a bad idea. And so and that's why MEA is so essential for so many thousands of people, because there's a community there. There's others that get it. They don't have to pretend that their shit together, so to speak. They don't, nor do I. I'm 81 and I've got my own funks, I know Beverly Kay is on this call. She has her own funk. I have my own funk. We have our funks along the way, and it just is the way it is as in life. But as I learned from Viktor Frankl, he talked about tragic optimism. Tragic optimism. He said, that we're all going to have these adversities in life, but we have to figure out a way to be optimistic. Don't go it alone. Do it, and the way that you could do it is to give, to serve, to serve, to give to others.
Thanks. Yeah, community has been a thread all throughout, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Lynn. We'll just do a quick 1 minute, Rex. Then I'm going to bring up Mary Hofstad, who's teaching your week with you, Richard Leider, before we wrap.
Great.
Rex, hey, how are you?
Hey, great. Thank you. It's funny you should mention Viktor Frankl quite a few times. Obviously, very seminal. When I was at MEA for the first time, I was an MEA virgin until July. It was MEA course together with St. John's, and Man's Search for Meaning was one of our texts. So what you're talking about in terms of the wisdom of the nomads. So
I see that. Yeah.
That's with the Maasai. And being invited, you have to be invited to earn your place to sit around the fire and learn from the elders, and all that's great. My question is more in my role of transitioning. I'm a physician, pulmonary critical care oncology, dealing with people with lots of despair who cycle through the ICU, dealing with diseases. They don't have a purpose. You're sort of singing to the choir right here. Those of us who are attending.
Yeah.
How do you think you can help people find purpose? Sort of my own observation is, without an identity, it's hard for them to have a purpose. How to regain an identity very often. Of course, community is a good build. Your thoughts, your advice, your teaching?
Oh, it's such a huge question, and I wish I had a quick answer, but I would just say this. what I have learned is that the universal purpose is to grow and to give. So if they even have a major illness or a major pulmonary problem or whatever you're dealing with, if they can grow and give on a day-to-day basis, even with their despair, they'll do better. And I don't know any, just before Abraham Maslow died, the Maslow hierarchy of needs that, and everyone quotes the Maslow hierarchy of needs, and he said the top of the pyramid is self-actualization. 1 year before he died, he said, I was wrong. The top of the pyramid is transcendence. It's giving to others. It's not about giving to self or about growing self. And he and Frankl, who had a mismatch in certain ways, it wasn't at war, but they didn't agree. They came together just before Maslow died. And they agreed that the top of the pyramid of life is not about self, it's about others. And so I think, I wish I had a better answer for you about the work you do, which I so believe and support. But it is about service, ultimately.
Yep. Thank you so much,
Thank
Rex,
you.
and thank you for the work that you do. I'm going to bring up Mary Hofstede, who is going to be there in October with
Hi,
Richard
Mary.
and Chip and Ellen, one of our highest rated facilitators at MEA, and was at Teaching the Crossroads and Classics Week. So thank you for being here today, Mary.
I'm thrilled, Richard. It's so great to meet you, and I look forward to working with you. I've met Alan a few times just as a Santa Fe resident, and really excited to dive into purpose and support the week.
Isn't he a mensch? I mean,
He's a lovely human.
He is.
Yeah, so maybe Mary, can you just share with everybody some of the magical things that you have in store for this week with Chip and Richard and Alan that people can look forward to?
Oh my gosh. Well, in addition to Richard, which and Alan, which I am super excited about to learn from and alongside you both, we have, some of the best MEA has to offer on this. Kari, I love that you said 2,600 feet
I couldn't
of land in Santa Fe. It's actually 2,600 acres.
This is why we have a team.
This is why we need each other. Yeah. And so we have everything from activities to time to build community with one another. People have mentioned the amazing food, our scratch kitchen. It's just a beautiful place. If you want to leave your phone in your room to spend time in community, you'll learn as much from the other people that show up as we do together with you, Richard. I mean, I love the description of sitting in circle around a fire, and an MEA week is very much that.
And I hang out with people all day, every day. It's not like I come and do my thing and leave. I am there and I want to be there with people.
Yeah. Yep. And I just want to let everyone know that, MEA is committed to our own sense of regeneration, that we are committed to local products, local services, regenerating the land on the campus. And we also have a foundation. The Age Foundation provides financial aid, over $2 million of financial aid that's been provided to help make this affordable for everyone. So
and you got the mayor of one of the most fabulous cities in the country at your behest. He'll be there with me. We're very close friends and colleagues, and we're there for you. We're not there for us.
That's right. Exactly. Judy is from Kenya and recognizing your beautiful shield there. So thank you, Mary. I look forward to having you guys there together. Richard, how did we get through an hour in about 5 minutes together? It always happens. My gosh.
I was so excited to see you.
Me too. It's always a pleasure to have truly the epitome of a modern elder, Richard. The work that you've contributed for 50 years is such a gift to me, to all of us. So thank you for continuing to, and don't ever retire. We want you with us for a very long time. I hope everybody had a great time. Pop in the chat. One word. Did you have a good time? Tell us in the chat one word after your hour with us. What is the date? It's October 22nd.
20th through 25th, I think, or
20 through
24th.
25 in
Yeah,
October is
yeah.
one of the most beautiful times of year. Grateful. Yes, it was good. Fantastic, inspiring. Connor has got some music to take us out of here. So thank you again, Richard. Thank you all for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I'm talking about diamonds on the soles of your shoes.
Thanks, everyone. A little